na katawan, mapayapang isipan. Go palakas, malinis na paligid, mabuting kalooban. Go palakas, hangad na maglingkod sa kapwa't kaibigan. Go palakas, alagaan natin si inang kalikasan. Halika na totoo sa kalikasan at kapwa-tao. Di sa buhay natin ito. Go palakas, go palakas. Sugan pangkalikasan, go palakas.
Good morning to everybody.
A pleasant
Magandang
morning, a
umaga
pleasant
sa
Saturday
inyo.
sa inyong lahat.
Umulan
Right.
sa Visayas, Mindanao kahapon
Wow.
at saka sa Bicol, pero ngayon
So many
good weather.
of our,
Oy, nauna sila
Oh,
sa
early
atin.
birds.
Yes. Oo, batiin na natin.
Okay.
O si Cesar Canonisado from California.
Cesar Delhi, naman.
Yeah, and Delhi, yes.
Yeah, and my sister Malit. Hello.
Yes, and Har, very regular listener. And Vina Pascual from Baguio. And Rina May. Yes.
Okay, she's a message.
Oh, masaya po akong makinig muli sa mga makabuluhang
Makabuluhang.
usapan mula po sa inyo.
Okay.
Yes.
San Miguel.
Yes.
And then definitely Myra Muriel. And Kalindi Relova, hindi siya yata top notcher ngayong araw. Naging siguro.
Nahuli ng konti si
Nahuli ng konti.
Kalindi.
Pero anyway, pleasant
Napasarap
morning.
tulog.
Oo nga. Sabado kasi. So anyway, well,
Our topic is very interesting today.
And
Very relevant.
always.
At saka siguro maraming inputs din po kayong ma-share. Your comments will be shared to us and all our other listeners. And the topic is forgive and be forgiven. Yan.
in our current environment that we are as a society going through. Alam nyo right now, di ba, those of you who live in the NCR area, again, you're faced with an issue, curfew,
Lockdown na.
lockdown.
Ano
But
na naman.
we should,
At least in
tayong mga nasa
smaller
probinsya,
area,
we
no?
should not be complacent
Mm-mm.
because
Oo.
it may take place in our locality that we should still continue wearing masks and
Oo.
follow the basic protocols. No?
Oo. Ano yung kinukwento mo tungkol dun sa sa mga mask and everything?
Sa news kahapon, yung Dumaguete, sinasabihan na, bakit kayo, kukunti na lang ang inyong mga kaso? Sabi nila, syempre, isang taon na nasanay na kaming mag-mask.
Oo.
Pero bakit dito sa ating NCR naman, isang taon na nga, di pa rin tayo lahat sanay mag-mask.
Oo.
Sana naman nag-practice na nga tayo para madali na sa atin.
Tsaka it helps talaga.
Yes,
Oo,
so-
helps.
And we have to reconcile things, you know. Kasi our topic for today, maybe this will be a series. So forgiveness, you have to be to forgive and forgive. To
Be forgiven.
You know, in our society, because of the harshness of what's going on today, it's not just the pandemic. Hindi lang bali yung pandemic, kundi our economic situation is really taking a toll in our people's way of life.
Yes.
And this affects us. If you're a family man, the head of the family, try to make both ends meet to provide for food. And we find that the scarcity and the expense of feeding our family is becoming a stressful setting for you.
Oo, ang hirap
Yes.
ng ipag-abot-abot yung ating budget.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And this is taking its toll in many people's healthy well-being
Mm-mm.
overall. Kasi.
Nagagalit na ang mga tao.
Yeah.
Oo.
And where do we find the balance? How do we make it so that, see, and ideally, when you talk about forgiveness and be forgiven, this begins at home. Most of the time, it begins at home. Then it's carried over in our how we are educated in our schools, and then it's carried over in our performance. Kumbaga, our performance rating will be always measured when you are out there dealing with the society in general, and how your upbringing has brought you to a point where you know you're ready to be just letting go of things that may have hurt you or yung mga ganun ba, hindi ba? Sa bahay nag-uumpisa yan.
Oo.
Starts at
Yes.
home. And now,
Sa experience mo doon,
Yeah,
kung
yes.
ano ang gawa rin ng magulang
yes,
natin.
ano yung environment
Napapagaya
mo sa bahay,
tayo.
sasabay ka ngayon dyan.
Mm-mm.
So, many times, if you cannot, let's say, if you're a child that has been abused at home or was raised in a very difficult situation or environment, di ba, what you need to do is to seek relief from it, and you try to find it with your friends, your classmates. Di ba? And you can see this.
Meron nalayas na sa bahay.
Yes,
Tuloy,
or
oo.
even while they're young, siyempre hindi ka basta umaalis pag bata
Pag
ka
medyo
pa,
malaki
elementary
ka na,
school,
oo.
high school. Pero that could be seen, it could be seen in how a child is raised. Now, because the balancing, it's a balancing act. It's difficult, no? But it's doable. It's being done, and it's not like there's a lack of guidance for people to how to engage in such or how to accept such activity in one's life. May ganyan yan. So as parents, we and elders or people who are in leadership, how do you make it so that the environment of your people, your communities, even in families, during situations like this, which is stressful, you're able to stay stable and not be so harsh with one another. Kasi recently, nasa news, hindi ba, may patayan na naman na nangyari sa South,
Oo.
It's like,
Pati sa Tanay, may
yeah,
nabasa
yun.
ako.
Yeah.
Mga,
And you know how people would feel by, wow, ito na ba to? Baka ito na yung iniisip natin na anti-terrorist law. Ito na ba? Will this be how it's going to be governed? This is how it should be done? Or instead of looking at it in, many of us as leaderships and protectors who in that position, we should always look into how do we reconcile?
Yeah.
How do we make it so that our society doesn't become very, kumbaga, there's hate, there's anger, very animalistic, kagatan na.
Divided and,
Yeah.
antagonistic.
And there's also a difference of, makikita natin the disparity of those who are rich and poor. When you see that, there's going to be an inequality all the time. So these people who may be, as we say, wow, parang they don't like how the government is being governed and managed. We cannot be, kumbaga, if you look at them, they're ordinary people. Who also wants to have a place under the sun, who can raise their family, who doesn't want to be in that situation. We
They
all want
just
to
want
be in
their
peace.
rights.
Yes, that's something that we have to always look into. If you're in a position of responsibility, this is so important because a good leader has compassion, and knows, look, my people need to be in a peaceful setting. So the society can grow this way. Then the morals and values can come to play in the very family unit, in the barangay, in our towns. So it's not more of like an exploitative. The strong is always exploiting the weak,
And the weak getting angry.
Yeah,
at the
because they
other
feel
party.
hopeless
Oo.
na.
Yes.
oo.
So, minsan,
ganun na lang.
kasi nga yung anger, that will result in yung kumbaga, hindi mo ma-forgive rin. Kumbaga,
Oo.
sisi na lang ng sisi dun sa
Oo.
ibang tao. So, you have parang justification kung bakit ka galit. and why you don't want to forgive them kasi ito yung kasalanan nila.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
Mabait
goes
sila.
on to
Oo.
generations.
Oo.
That is the difficulty of it.
Mm-mm.
Just as in a family that's kind of dysfunctional in many ways. Let's say nakahiwalayan yan. Ang hirap i-reconcile nun eh. Kasi even the child and the parents are like, wow, what happened to us? May ganun yun eh.
May
Oo.
feeling of betrayal, abandonment, confusion, madami.
Mm-mm.
And then when it takes
issue.
place in a family setting, then that is carried over. Dala yan eh. Dala yan ng mga anak. Then you hope always na pagdating sa mga grandchildren eh, you break the cycle. You start to break it. You kind of, that cycle of being hurt,
Oo.
and then that actually the caring begins. Di ba? Now, in a society that we're constantly faced with such stress, this becomes such a difficult balancing act for each individual.
Oo.
So, when it comes to forgiveness, no, halimbawa, pinanggit nga ni Tito Toby itong sa families, yung galit, no? Meron kwento, no? Kasi this whole problem of anger and lack of forgiveness, this is worldwide, eh. Hindi lang naman dito sa ating society, no? So, in Spain, merong naging kaso, the father and the son, nagkaaway sila. Hindi sila magkatugma talaga, no? So, yung bata lumayas. He is already teenager, ganyan, lumayas, no? The dad, later on, years na rin ang dumaan, syempre malungkot ang tatay, no? Kasi minsan papagalitan natin ang anak natin. Ayun, hindi nga magkasundo. But really, we're coming from the point of gusto sana natin turuan. So, the dad, he felt very sad. And then he decided, hindi ko na kaya, I will forgive my son. Eh, hindi naman niya alam kung nasa na yung anak niya. So, naisip niya, lagay niya sa newspaper. Pinasulat niya, my son, Paco, all is forgiven, uwi ka na. Sabi niya, magkita tayo sa plaza. No, doon sa city na yun. I think it was in Madrid. Yeah? So, sabi niya, yung araw na dapat magkita sila, di nag-iintay na siya doon sa set place. Ang daming dumating na tao sa kanya. Puro Paco pangalan nila. Kasi kumbaga sa atin, Juan ang pangalan niya o Pedro, di ba? Napaka-common na name. Ang dami-dami nilang dumating. So, makikita natin, this is not a very isolated
Rare.
case.
Oo.
Talagang ganun maraming nangyayari ganyan. Nagkakaaway-away tayo. And yung guys naman, they're all so happy to be, uuwi na ako, pinatawad na ako. So all of us, we need to learn really how to forgive.
At saka if there is an opening and to make it easy for somebody who makes a mistake na makalapit
Yes.
just to apologize.
Because
Kasi
Let us
minsan
not close doors.
at saka minsan pag tayo, masungit tayo, ay naku, talagang ninenervous yung taong lumapit, di ba? O yan, meron pa tayong mga bati.
Okay, from Karkar, about
Karkar.
Mayang Buntag from Cebu. Yeah.
And from Adilila and Cynthia of Merga.
Yeah.
And
Edil.
also Edilberto of
From Lukban,
Villamor.
Okay.
And Ananda from Zambales. Yes,
Yes.
Francis Go.
Francis, take care because
Yes.
I care. Yes, very nice. That's how we should all live.
Yeah. Forgive and forget. Di ba? May mga
Forgive
ganyan.
and be
Oy,
forgiven.
meron
Be
tayong
forgiven.
kilala
Don't
dito, si
Don't
Ma'am
forget.
Iris.
Yeah.
Iris from Eyak, Cavite. Yung
Yeah.
bumisita sa
Ah,
Lotus
I
Valley.
see.
Yeah.
But
Very-
anyway,
Nice to
Yes.
hear from
We
you.
remember you,
Oo.
yes. And Francis Mina, and from Francis Go, forgive and forget.
Ano say mo
yan.
dyan? So
Ay,
forgive and forget. Oo.
Ako kasi forgive and do not forget because you want to learn your lesson. Kumbaga, huwag mo nang ulitin itong nangyari. In the sense, you avoid that kind of a
yeah,
situation.
just so that you can
Kumbaga.
learn from it
Yeah,
and you can see that it doesn't get repeated in your life.
Yeah.
At saka kasi yung iba, forgive me. Tapos mamaya bugbugin ka na naman. Di ba? This is the problem with abusive
Oo.
situations.
Although yung nasabi natin forget, yung parang, sige, wag mo nang ulit-ulitin na, pinatawad kita ha, ito ginawa mo sa akin, yung kumbaga, yung sabi na
Yeah.
graveyard digging pa. You keep repeating the
yes.
offenses of this person throughout the years, humingi na nga ng sorry, paulit-ulit ka
oo,
pa.
just
Oo.
bury it na, finish.
Oo,
Because
tapos
there's such thing as
tapos
a-
na.
Yun ang
It's
kailangan
also,
i-forget.
kaya nga,
Yun ang i-forget.
kaya nga in the last radio shows
Uh-huh.
natin, di ba? talking about caring and loving.
Yes.
You know, how do you nurture that? You know,
Yes.
it's about nurturing that because you remember, you experience it, and then you know that this caused me pain. Then definitely there's us as human beings, yeah, and spiritual beings, we have that potential to be able to look in another setting to change such harshness or that we have experienced in our heart. We have that ability.
Oo. Oo.
And
Oh,
this,
I'd like to greet, excuse me. Andreb, how are you? He's watching from the lung center. This is our good friend.
Oh.
He has become positive of COVID. So we're
Oo.
praying for him.
He's going through the treatment at the Philippine Lung Center.
Yes.
Okay. So, meron pa rin from Mike Rex and from Enriquez from Zambales.
Yeah.
Yung good friend natin. And from, of course, our favorite friend here from Miguel Vargas from Dalumpinas Oeste in San Fernando.
it's a Gemini Rose from Iloilo.
And he said, just got home from the coastal cleanup and watering the newly planted bitaog and talisay seedlings.
Yeah, mabuhay sila lahat.
Oo. Lakbay buhay. And of course, meron pa sina Har uli. Sabi niya, I like pandemic because we see all the people, the spiritualists alive here on this page. I think I experienced this, and also when we choose the path to God than our family. But I forgive my family no matter what happened. I hope everybody is the same because when we have love for God, we forgive others. But seek wisdom from the right teachers so you can avoid exploitative relationships. O yung mga problema sa pamilya, no, minsan talagang kailangan nating i-transcend. No? We have to transcend na lang kasi hindi natin yan, it will bear, kumbaga is a weight, parang pabigat yan sa buhay kung yan lang ang ating pag-iisipan at problemahin. So, basically, alam mo yung sinasabi mo, Toby, na how from generation to generation pwedeng ipasa yung galit.
Yes,
Like, nakikita natin to sa mga political dynasties. Yung mga nag-aaway, from generation to generation,
Not only
pati
dynasties,
tribal
but-
war, and parang ang
this
kanito, ang
becomes,
kanon.
in our
Actually-
society, this becomes, kumbaga, this is being bred. May
Oo,
ganyan.
oo.
You know,
Oo.
and then at the end of the day, it's more of, it just leads to more hate
Oo.
and no peace.
Oo.
See, that's why when we speak on environment, the environmental condition that leaderships meaning at home, you do the same thing.
Oo.
If you're the parent,
Father.
okay, it is something that you have to work and reconcile things constantly because life in this world is forever changing, and there's no always assurance. But there is such a thing as you become hindi hard, but actually there's the qualities of reconciliation, there's the qualities of caring, there's the qualities of loving is always being nurtured. You know, no matter how difficult the situation is.
Kasi kabaligtaran yan, yung nurture mo yung galit nga.
Right.
Pwede mo na i-nurture yung forgiveness tsaka yung
Yes,
love,
oo.
di ba? Kasi meron yung ibang tao sa pag you're born in a family o yung ibang pamilya, kaaway natin yan, huwag kang makikipagkaibigan doon. Talagang you
Parang
don't
tinatanim agad yung galit
wala ka
sa'yo,
naman
no?
experience hindi mo naman dinaanan kung ano yung problema.
Oo.
Tapos sa expectation nila, ikaw rin, makikianib ka dun sa kanilang sama ng loob. Parang we all should feel the same anger against this other group, you know.
Bata pa, parang minomold ka na o kaaway natin. Alam mo itong talaga, ang forgiveness, kailangan natin. Kasi pagka nasaktan tayo, di ba usually, nasaktan yung ating kaisipan, kalooban, kaya galit tayo, no? When we maintain this anger, hindi tayo mag-heal. Parang may sugat tayo. Like a wound on the body.
Yeah.
If you let it heal, pag binabayaan mo siya, let it heal, the body has a way to heal it, right? Gagaling, di ba? Pero yung galit natin sa loob, parang sugat yan na kinakut-kut-kut natin,
Oo.
di ba?
You take the scab out.
Gumagaling na sana, nakutkut mo pa, dudugo na naman. Sige ka ng sige, you don't let it heal. So what happens? It gets infected, it gets worse. Ganyan
Lumalaki.
ang
Or it doesn't heal at all.
Oo. Yeah, it doesn't heal at all.
Oo.
So we must let this heal. Otherwise,
Oo.
it destroys us. Di ba kapag galit tayo, hindi tayo makahinga mabuti, masakit ang dibdib natin, masakit
Or you
ulo
get a heart
natin.
attack too.
Oo, or masakit na rin yung
Pag
tiyan
nagagalit
natin.
ka, tapos sumisigaw ka, tapos tumataas
Oo.
yung,
But you know,
yung
when you
presyon.
when you have the nurturing and the caring nature, even on the forgiveness side, you can feel it. It will change immediately. Your
If you
dynamics.
forgive, once you forgive, then you begin to heal from within. Yeah, healing happens from within. Kaya nga kailangan, at least inside us, we decide, okay, patawarin ko na siya. Whether humingi siya sa akin ng tawad o hindi, at least na-reconcile ko na sa loob ko. Tapos na, I
Pero
can
meron
heal.
makakatulong dyan sa healing na yan, yung healing sound meditation
Yeah.
Oo,
natin,
laking
hindi ba?
bagay. Oo.
Talagang when you do this kind of meditation, okay, you take away the anger, you take away the pain, Talagang yung healing sound meditation is very helpful. No? Meron, alam mo, merong isang bata lumapit sa akin noon. No? Kasi in question, merong question na Grace, do children also experience this problem of asking forgiveness?
Ay, talaga.
Hindi, meron batang lumapit sa akin. She broke my plate. And then, I guess the parents said, you better apologize. You go there and say sorry. Nung lumapit sa akin. She was so young. She was about 4 years old.
Yeah.
Pero she was crying so much. Yung talagang, parang hindi na siya makahinga. Tapos parang talagang, gumagano, no, talaga. Sabi ko, ano nga yung problema niya? Kasi hindi pa siya makapagsalita eh. So, I'm so sorry. Sabi niya ganon. Sabi ko, it's okay. Sabi ko ganon. Pero it was so difficult for her kasi there's also something that makes it difficult for us to beg forgiveness.
Yes,
no?
to admit that we did something.
There is a process, as we say, may healing process to be forgiving people, to heal that wound. Meron din naman yung process rin na that covers us up and makes it so na we hang on to our anger or
and we feel justified.
Yes.
Diba?
Ang ano naman doon yung lack of humility, no? Yun ang medyo
Minsan akala mo tama ka kasi galit ka dun.
Yes, oo. Parang may pagkaano naman na kaya mahirap mag-sorry. Yung mga bata ma-experience natin yan. Pag una nating tinuturuan mag-sorry, talagang
Hirap sila.
ayaw. You say, pag harapin mo yung dalawang bata, you say sorry. Wow, ang tigas, ayaw magsalita. Talagang
It's
hirap
really
na
hard,
hirap, no? So, meron tayong mga comments from Iris Festin. Hello, good morning. Catrino Resurrection from San Mateo Rizal. And again, from Rosalinda Alascano, Carmen Padriga. Meron siyang comment, if we want to be forgiven, we must forgive those who have offended us.
Just like in the prayer of Jesus, no?
Yeah,
Forgive us as we forgive those who
trespass.
Yeah.
who have offended us. Yeah.
It's a sense of that we cannot be wanting to be forgiven tapos at the same time we don't want to forgive. It will not work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way na tayo humingi ng patawad pero hindi tayo marunong magpatawad. Hindi tayo mapapatawad rin kasi that all has to do with love. It all has to do with love.
It's the nature of loving and caring. See, forgiving is very much integral part of it. Kaya nga earlier I was sharing in the beginning, the environment you're in is always very crucial so that you can nurture a person even as a child from the very start. You see, it's that nurturing nature that you have that brings you to a point where you are caring, loving, and forgiving. Kasi makakakabit yan eh. So a child being raised or a person who's an adult, you can see this. It can be experienced and felt. Kaya nga we are by nature social beings. We need one another. We feed one another for many things. We rely on one another's caring and contribution in our lives. Para mabuhay tayo.
Kaya yung sinasabi nating yung prayer na tinuro ni Jesus Christ, yung Our Father, no? He's talking also about love for God, that if you love the Father, you will also develop this love for others. And because you have love for the Father, you can forgive even those who trespass against you. Kasi alam mo, anak rin sila ng Panginoon.
Yes.
They're also children of God. So therefore, there is that connection and that caring for them. So if they have trespassed, meron silang mga nagawang masama sa atin, parang pamilya, hindi ba sa pamilya, sige na, okay na yan,
Oo,
hindi
sa
ba?
kapatid may
Let it go.
away-away,
Oo.
pero hindi
Oo.
naman sana natutuloy, di ba? Oo.
Mm-mm. Ngayon, sabi ni Har, ingatan ang heart kasi napag-usapan natin, lahat connected dyan.
Totoo.
Kawa-
Kasi pag halimbawa sa galit, pag galit tayo, nakasarang mabuti yung ating heart, tumitigas na tuloy. Pero kung
Mm-mm.
nagmamahal tayo, nakabukas siya. So, lahat ng good feelings, natatanggap natin yung love ng iba at napapamahal din tayo sa iba.
Yes.
No? Nagmamahal
Tolerance and
tayo.
humility are the qualities that we should also cultivate. I think.
Yes,
Yes.
totoo. Kailangan
So that
natin.
anger would not stay in our heart, and love and
And
concern would supersede all this anger and intolerance.
Oo,
Yes.
salamat Ananda. Siya ang
Oo.
nagsabi niya.
Oo.
At hello kay
Kevin.
Ver Enrique
Kevin
Enriquez.
Silvestre,
Oo.
yes.
And Mary.
And Mary Salazar. Happy to
Mary
listen
Garnero.
again, sabi
Good
ni
morning.
Mary. Actually, yung sinasabi nating forgiveness, no,
Mhm.
yung sa mga, kasi sabi ni Ananda na we need tolerance and humility. Kasi yung humility naman makes it so that we don't feel I am worthy of respect. And if you do anything against me, galit ako sa inyo. Kumbaga, yun yung namang kabaligtaran kasi yung pag may pride tayo, kaya hindi ba sabihin natin yung ibang tao, napaka-ma-pride naman niya. Hindi ba? Ang hirap makausap, ang hirap lapitan, ang hirap hingan ng patawad. Because yung pride naman makes it so that we feel, I am worthy of respect. So do not trespass against me.
Oo.
So
Or feeling mo, ikaw lang lagi ang tama, na hindi ka ever nagkakamali.
yes, oo. So yon, you cannot tolerate the imperfections of others. Kaya
Oo.
pag may ginawa sila talagang naiinis ka, ano ba yan?
Oo.
Walang intelligence, parang nagagalit tayo. And
Pero
this,
kung
Plus,
ikaw
we should-
nagkamali, tolerant
We
ka
should,
sa sarili mo.
we should also, kaya nga yun again, you're looking at always in the big picture, how one is educated, one is raised, and how the models that they see around them really changes how they see things. You know?
Oo.
And that determines
kasi minsan yung meron mga
your
gudang,
actions.
marunong
Ganyan.
rin sila sa harapan ng mga anak, sabihin, uy, daddy, sabihin ni nanay, daddy, sorry ha, na so they hear
Oo,
their
nakikita
parents
nila.
apologizing to each other, and they know it's a sweet thing. Kumbaga minsan may
It's a
affection.
relationship. There's an
May
affection. And
Oo.
even in real life, kahit na hindi kayo magkamag-anak,
Mm-mm.
as family, friends. Kaya nga, the way our society is geared, magkakaroon ka ng mga kaibigan. Hindi kahit magkakaibigan kayo, nagkakaroon ng alitan
Oo.
or disagreement.
Pero if
But
you
yet-
care about that relationship, you will care to patch things
Yeah.
up.
And
Or
you know,
nagkaaway-away.
you know what happens to it is,
Mm-mm.
you know how sometimes, kasi may minsan yung, okay, step by step, paano natin gagawin ito?
Yun.
May ganyan
Oo.
Resolve
What
the
is
conflict.
what is the nature of
Yan.
forgiving? Where do I begin to forgive?
Bigayan, di ba?
Di ba? Where do I begin to forgive as a person? Let's say let's say there are those who grew up this way.
Oo.
There are those who kind of, wow, it's a struggle. I don't even understand what forgiveness is. May mga tao
O
na
minsan
bubuhay
di
na
na nga
gano'n
nila alam kung ano yung una nilang pinag-awayan eh.
Oo.
Sobrang tagal na.
Pero maganda, meron ako narinig sa inyo dati, sinabi, wag matulog na may sama ng loob.
Yes.
Wag nang paabutin hanggang sa isang linggo or alam mo, meron kasi doon sa isang country sa Peruvian na until the end of the year doon sila nagsusuntukan tapos at saka ilalabas nila sama ng loob nila.
Ang tagal naman.
May bakbakan sila at the end of the
Yeah, unruly
year.
nga eh.
Ang tagal naman yun.
In relationships at home. Ganyan nga eh.
Oo.
Like you make it a point that if there are disagreements, no matter what, you don't let it last.
Eh kasi hindi ka rin makakatulog kung
Oo.
galit ka.
You know,
Oo.
you have to make sure that there is you reconcile and there's that harmony that you're always longing for in a relationship. Kasi that's a relationship of caring. It has to do with that. Then on the end of the day, you will find Right? There are things in life that you think it's so, akala mo napakalaki, yung pala, hindi.
Oo nga, minsan maliit lang na bagay naman napapalaki
Oo.
lamang.
It's just being magnified, and that's where things begin to kind of, kasi, I have this list I have stuck in my head like this. But really, the reality of it is, if you begin, you have a life of a relationship where there's always that reconciliation facet that so you can sustain a harmonious relationship.
Oo.
And then you nurture this at home so that your children would have the same thing, so that you will also carry that in your relationship with your parents.
Hindi, yung sinabi mo din, nakalista yung galit niya, no? Yung iba hindi, sako, parang ang daming laman. Pag konting away, lahat nilabas na. Ito, ganito pa. Ito,
Ano yan? Para ba yung bug lady? Yung ganun ba? Nakikita mo lahat ng kalat.
Actually, yung sinabi mo kasi na minsan maliliit na bagay, pero minsan iniisip natin, yung maliliit na bagay, pag inipon mo yun, malaki na.
Oo,
yung
yun. Padami ng
mahaba
padami.
yung listahan eh. So you have, parang it's a justification. See,
Parang siyang cancer.
ang dami mong kasalanan, ito nakalista ang haba, pero maliliit lang yun. No? Pwede naman itabi-tabi na lang yan, erase.
Kasi there's
Delete,
also,
delete.
kasi there's also, may comment nga, parang sometimes itulog mo na lang yung problema. Tapos
Mahirap matulog pag galit ka.
kaya pag nagising ka, and then pa rin yung problema. Saying, where do you begin? So it's always, that's why when you talk about relationship, especially like, we always we're discussing like a lot of this interpersonal relationship that you have is rooted at home.
Kasi
That's
doon
why
tayo talaga.
when you start to nurture these traits, these qualities, and then these values at home, then basically the habits or the ways can carry over to others. And then when you discuss this openly, for example, like now we're discussing about forgiveness.
Oo.
Okay, siyempre, where does it begin? It's all about relating and relationships. Now, Jesus taught us how we should be always reconciling. If we see something that is being done out of hate and anger, what do? You try to change that out of hate and anger? No, change it in a different approach. You reconcile. You humble. You talk reason with the person.
Ayun na nga sinabi ni
Reasonable.
Miguel Vargas, anger turns into wrath, and when wrath grows, it becomes like a tree that continues to grow and branch out. So as early as possible, you should tell the other person your problem or concern. Open rebuke is better than hidden love.
Oo, minsan kasi may maliit na bagay, naiinis ka doon, ayaw mo naman sabihin doon sa tao. Habang maliit, gawin na natin ng paraan. Lalo na if you know this person might do it again and again. Tapos all this time, inis ka na inis. Lalaki yung galit mo, di ba?
Tapos naipon.
Sabihin nyo na sa umpisa pala.
Tapos biglang pumutok yung bulkan. Parang bakit biglang nagalit yun ng ganun?
Oo,
Kasi
walang
pala marami
kamalay-malay
na,
yung isang
oo.
tao.
Oo, so better nga, you talk to the person.
Oo,
You
isa pa lang.
resolve it, yung sinasabi
Habang
nyo to
maliit yung
resolve it.
problema.
Oh, ito nga yung sabi naman ni Harhar kasi, pwede naman dasal ang pwedeng magbago yung mali ng ibang
Definitely.
tao or pamilya.
This is so important to understand. Let's say,
Kasi minsan daw ayaw makinig. So,
you know,
pinagdadasal na lang.
no. There's something that this is a sure formula. When there are differences taking place in the relationship, there's one particular formula that will change the dynamics immediately. This is, let's say, if, we learn to pray at home as a family.
Yun, the
Yeah.
family that prays together, stays together.
So there are many instances. I could remember this because up to now when I visit my mother who's already in her 90s, you can see she has an altar.
Oh, laki ng altar.
Laki ng
ng
altar.
mama.
Yung
Ganda.
altar na yun, lumaki kami, yun yung altar niya. Kahit yung mga santo na nandun, ni Yesu Cristo nandun. So, gabi-gabi, tawag na yan. After dinner, pagkakain,
Dasal na
magdadasal na kami
tayo.
together. Ganyan ba? So that becomes
Rosario.
habit-forming, kumbaga, and then they make sure that aspect of our life is being nurtured.
Yeah.
So, in relationships, For example, there are disagreements. When you pray together,
Mm-mm.
would you be still angry
Ay,
at each other?
mahirap. Mahirap magalit
You
habang
cannot pray.
Forgiving ka
nagdarasal.
na nun eh, no? Mas relax ka
Oh,
na.
that's right. When you end your day or in the evenings praying together, it changes your dynamics immediately.
Oo.
Kumbaga na, I
Hindi mo
cannot-
matigasan yung puso mo.
Nothing.
Pag
You want-
nagdadasal ka eh.
Yeah, or you're engaged in meditation because, wow, okay, you're going to be meditating on what? Ganun yan eh. Diba? Our real meditation is meditating in the names of God
Oo.
and prayers.
And
Diba?
on His love for us.
Yes, and then you
Oo.
basically, that kind of transcends things.
Mhm. Parang yung problema mo malaki pa, maliit lang pala yun.
Oo.
Then you begin to
Makikita mo
realize
na yung
that,
totoo.
no matter what, the very essence of our existence, that changes that to make sure that, when you get angry at someone, and if you're trying to cultivate this relationship with God,
Mm-mm.
diba? Then it doesn't,
Ka-counteract.
it doesn't
Oo.
work out eh.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't work out that way. So you always kind
Ang ano
of,
kasi, it separates you from God. Yung kung
Oh,
ano
yung
yung galit.
That's
yung
what it
galit.
is. That's what it is.
oo.
Kasi
And-
nagpapatigas ka ng puso
Oo.
eh.
and since that is a very, parang kumbaga, yun ang buhay ko eh. I want to be
Oo.
pleasing to God eh.
Oo.
And to be pleasing to God, I have to be caring and be forgiving to others.
Mm-mm.
And I cannot just be living a
Talagang
life
hand
and
in hand yun.
right,
magkasama.
that comes together.
Sabi
you know.
nga ni Ananda, it's always better to ask forgiveness even if you feel that the other person is more wrong. Then reconciliation comes faster and harmonious relationships.
Yeah, and then
Continue.
you do this. Let's say it becomes a way of what you do to
Oh.
nurture one another.
Mm-mm.
That reinforces your relationship.
Mm-mm.
And then on the end of the day, because there are many times in life that we are faced with difficulties, and having experience of people who are caring, and you trust. There's dito may.
Oh yeah, what is the difference between forgiveness and trusting
Oh,
again?
see, this is where it is.
Oo, yun.
This
Ano
is
nga
how
ba?
trust would work. Kasi
Oo.
alam nyo, in our society today, we find that those who are having to struggle with difficulties,
Mm-mm.
mental difficulties, physical difficulties, maraming ganon eh. Who do you seek? You seek somebody you can trust.
Mm-mm.
Now, if you don't have that, you don't know how that was nurtured. You don't experience that. How do I know to trust this person?
Kunyari, na-hurt ka.
Yeah.
Ngayon, pag nag-forgive, kaya finurgive mo yung person, does that mean that yung trust mo, ibabalik mo rin uli? Dahil, nag-ask naman ng sorry sa'yo.
Mm-mm.
Pero kung minsan, meron taong
Mahirap.
talagang,
Mahirap
oo,
yun,
we have to be careful, hindi
Yes,
ba? Kasi
oo.
pag hanggang ngayon, forgive and learn, hindi ba? You learn,
Yes,
this
yes.
person, kailangan mag-ingat ako kasi baka masaktan na naman ako. So,
Mm-mm.
there is still respect, there is still caring, pero
Oo.
you do not have to open
Give your
yourself
Yes,
and
be
your
respectful.
trust. Oo.
Kasi,
Let's be realistic also,
Oo.
di ba? Kung may problema yung tao na abusive siya, it
Mhm.
takes time to change
Mhm.
that. No? We forgive them but we can't always trust them yet. Kasi ano nga
Yes.
siya eh, he's in a process of having to get out of that situation.
Oo.
yeah, this is something that we build in
Mm-mm.
and we nurture
Mm-mm.
and we cultivate this.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Because you don't harbor hate in your heart.
Mm-mm.
Or else you carry that burden.
Mm.
May burden yan eh.
Mm.
You're burdened by it eh.
Oh,
And
you
it
cannot
isolate-
heal
And it
talaga.
isolates you.
Mm-mm.
It
Yes.
isolates you as a person. Malungkot yan eh.
Kasi nga it grows and grows
Yeah.
eh, yung anger.
Pero yung
becomes
sinasabi
hate,
natin,
becomes wrath.
you don't need to really trust everybody again or whoever that person is. Kasi meron din sinasabi sa literature, sa Vedic literatures na you can love a tiger but from a distance.
Oh, niyan nga.
Oh,
Safer.
hindi ba? Safer. Na yung just because we're told to love other people doesn't mean that we have to go embrace them and
Or live with them.
live with
Or-
them and be vulnerable and everything. Kumaga, may distance but
Mm-mm.
may respect you know.
We have to be realistic and practical.
Oo. Sabi ni Lakbay Gulay, thank you so much for the timely topic. If you are angry or have that hatred feeling, better take a moment to step back and relax. Practice meditation and don't make any actions while full of anger.
Oo, kasi pag angry
Or make
tayo, hindi
any
tayo
decision.
makaisip ng
Any
tama.
decisions,
Any
yes.
decision.
Oo.
That's why part of this cultivation that we have, kasi alalahanin natin na when we live our life here, at the end of the day, all of our relationships in this world are also subjected by time. But a true relationship that we have with God is timeless.
Mm-mm.
And then if we feel that experience in our heart, that unconditional love that we experience with God, so it will result too, di ba? Eventually, it's easy to love others, di ba? But you know that this love will also end.
Mm-mm.
But yet, you live a lasting example to others, yeah, and it carries over to other people. It carries over to your even family members, because that way you're also sharing a way out of such, in case you are faced with such situation, this is what you do, diba? We live in a world that is imperfect
And
and
people
temporary.
are imperfect.
Yeah.
And
So
we
are
are
we.
So are we?
imperfect.
Oo.
So we don't judge each other, or we don't start treating each other by, wow, you know.
Tsaka minsan, no, pagka merong isang tao nagkamali, hindi naman ibig sabihin, lagi na lang siyang mali.
Oo.
Right.
May kabutihan din.
Oo.
Sabi nga ni Katrino Resurrection, we experience being forsaken by family members, the most precious possession being taken away from us. But due to wisdom we learn from yoga masters and teachings, we have given
give
way.
way.
We give way to forgive. Even though our father is thinking of violent actions back then, it will affect. Sorry. Back then, thanks for the decision based on respect with the fellow children of God, and we are peaceful and have harmonious relationships today. Oh, kasi nga yung from your past experiences, hindi ba? Minsan, maraos mo yun, ma-transcend mo na yun, you learn from it, you move on, and do not be held back by yung mga, kung ano nangyari sa atin nung mga nakaraan na masasakit, hindi ba?
You know, it's not easy to forgive. Kamukha nga. May cases kasi kung ang bata may problema sa anger, usually sabi ng mga psychiatrists, it takes 3 generations to fix the problems in a family, lalo na kung may abuse, ganoon, no? Pero we need to take the steps toward the right direction.
There is a
Yeah,
this is a true story of a mother in America. Her son was gunned down by mga gangs, no, mga gang members. Binaril, ang bait ng anak niya.
Oo.
Instead of just living and being angry with those who killed her son, what she did was she volunteered to help in the prison, counseling the mga gang members, yung mga teenagers na, violent, ganon. So she found that there were young people who gravitated towards her. Pero ano mo, bukang opening niya, pagsasalta, my child, my beloved son, was killed by a gang member. Siguro sabi nung mga tao,
Patay tayo
naku, gagantihan tayo ngayon dito, kawawa na tayo. Hindi, but she explained the pain na dinaanan din niya. And that she said, I forgive those who killed my son. And so I want to prevent more of this, and I want to help you. So nagkaroon siya ng relationship na appreciate ng mga tao yung kanyang concern na tulungan sila. Kasi sila rin nagsasuffer
Oh, yes.
A person who is violent, a person who is angry, is actually in a suffering condition.
Yeah.
So to be helping them is actually,
Ang ganda naman ng kwento na yan.
Oo.
Nice what she
Very
did.
true
oo.
story to.
She turned her pain into a way to help others to prevent
Yeah, this
more pain.
is what we have been
Very
given
nice.
from our heart. Nandyan yan eh. There's a way out of the pain. There's a way out of your struggle. And that is a constant guidance that is present in our hearts. So sa ating buhay, we have to always consider, we live as a society. We have to be always learning to be able to deal and reconcile what the society that we live in. You know, kasi, anyway, before we go on this, kasi matatapos na yung oras natin eh.
Already?
You know,
Oo.
yesterday may isang kaibigan ako, ano siya, they're very successful business people, you know, really successful people. So magkakabarkada sila. So ngayon, yung nag-uusap kami, I said, you know, minsan sa buhay ng tao, ngayon, there's a pandemic, makita mo, no matter how loaded you are, meaning you have the means to be comfortable, but
Pera,
still,
yaman.
yan, nandyan lahat. And one thing that you can do more and much better, ganito yung usapan namin eh, kasi sabi niya, ang buhay natin, minsan, may mga tao, because of this wealth, they make life harder for others. They destroy the very fiber of our environment, our society, out of their greed to earn more out of these people. Diba? So we use the population to do that. Diba? So sabi niya, I would rather be, even if I have this, I would want to always be, because I know if I have this wealth will be the burden of my own children.
Oo nga.
Eh, he has a special child. No? May ganon siya. So, anong nangyari? He doesn't like the burden. But what I want to do is to use this to reconcile things, to help other people's lives.
Yan.
Yung sinasabi.
Sana ganyan lahat.
Yun ang intent,
Oo.
naging intent niya. And, you know, when one has this, definitely, the nature of forgiveness, the nature of caring, the nature of loving will be prevalent in a person's heart. And, you know, that you will feel that love and you will be happy. You'll not be
Yes.
burdened by what you have. And this is the way of life that we should be cultivating with our own, and yet we cultivate it with others. We always make sure that the purpose that we have as human beings, as spirit souls, is to make it so that my life, my existence, makes other lives better.
Yes.
Thank you so much sa inyo.
Okay.
And please,
Maraming
Salamat,
tayong
Ate.
comments, pero sabi ni Harhar na yung influencers daw, ang kanilang mga influence is mostly, you know, not very favorable. But she gives her trust to scriptures and to meditation. In other words, for spiritual things, which is good. Okay? And then si Minerva joined us. Doon ka. Sabi niya, good morning, Harbot. Tapos si Muriel, merong huling tayo,
to forgive
message.
needs a humble heart as well as courage. It's healthy to be forgiving because nursing hurts. And grievances is much like
Walking
around with
With-
rocks tied around your neck. Freedom comes from forgiving. Oh, very nice.
Okay.
And si Prashadam Green Selections. Thank you po for this segment. Lecture is very informative. This will serve as guidance and introspection how to deal with other people.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you so much to
We gotta
everybody.
go, but we can continue talking about this topic next time, yeah?
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Practice forgiveness. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Kasi it
you.
involves sincerity in a person's
Yeah.
life.
Chill lang tayo magalit.
Okay.
Thank you very much to all.
Okay. Always
Okay.
pray and seek that
Bye-bye.
protection.
Bye.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, go Palakas! Haribo ni Tagore, Haribo, Haribo ni Tagore.